Are you going to introduce the item or?
Yeah, are you good to go?
Sure.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Right.
Okay, I guess we'll begin here. Welcome to the Community Affairs Committee meeting. We have a new group of folks here tonight joining us, so welcome to the Community Affairs Committee. I guess the new thing on the agenda is to do a roll call vote, so we can kind of, with the hybrid meetings, know who's in person and who's online. So I guess, I'm not sure, does the clerk, would you like me to do that, or?
I can do it. Okay, forgive me if I misstate your name, but Alderman Wilkie?
Thank you. Yes, here.
Alderman Mindel?
I believe he's excused.
He's
Excuse
excused.
this evening.
I'm sorry, excuse. Alderman Mackloff II?
Here.
Alderwoman O'Reilly?
Here.
Alderman Franzen?
Here.
Alderman Dubinsky is excused. Alderman Lowe?
Present.
And Alderman Morgan.
Here.
Okay. All right, so we just have one item on the agenda tonight for Community Affairs. We have a memo from Alderperson Welch regarding adoption of the Humane Pet Ordinance. And I think Attorney Kestner is going to introduce it, and then we'll allow you to speak to it too then, if that's the order we want to do.
Actually, I'll leave it Alderwoman Welch if she wants
Oh,
to.
you want to? Okay.
I
Yeah, I wasn't sure where we're going here, so.
I've got materials if she wants. I know she wants shared, but we'll get to that.
Okay, Alderperson Welch.
All right. It's weird being on this side. I'm here tonight to introduce the Humane Pet Ordinance, and I hope you've all read the memo about it, so I won't just stand here and reread the memo, save you a little time. Briefly, the idea is that we already have regulations in place, so it's not possible to have a puppy mill within the boundaries of Wauwatosa, but there's still the possibility that a retail store can market puppies from puppy mills. So that's why we want to stop that. And instead of just rereading my memo to you, I wanted to start with a personal story. And if you look on the screen, you'll see a picture of a dog. And if you know me, you know I foster dogs for the Humane Society. And last fall, I had a very special foster. This is Jack. Jack came from the Iowa puppy mill that you read about. It made national news because it was such horrendous conditions. And Jack spent the first 2.5 years of his life living in a crate in filth because he couldn't, because he was stuck there. And thankfully, he was rescued. I think I won't go into details about just how horrendous the conditions were. But Bailing Out Benji and the United States Humane Society did rescue him, and he was brought to the Wisconsin Humane Society here in Milwaukee, where I went to pick him up. The little dog was terrified. He had never been out. I was trying to get him through the parking lot to my car. He was dashing under bushes. He was afraid of cars. He was afraid of the noise. He was afraid of the lights. Thankfully, I got him home. I got him in a quiet place. I gave him a warm bed, some food, some water. And after I talked to him for a while, he settled into a deep sleep. In fact, so deep that I went downstairs a couple times just to make sure he was still breathing. And the next morning, he got up, and I had a baby gate, and he started looking at me through the gate. And before you know it, he was playing with my dog, Luna, who's a foster fail. This is a great picture. He was doing normal doggy things like watching out the window, looking at squirrels and tracking down the evil male person. And he was just delighted, and he became a delightful dog. And when I walked him back to the Humane Society, and you missed the picture, there's a picture there. He teamed up with my dog to take over the couch, so no one was using that. But when I took him back He held his head high and he walked through the doors of the Humane Society, and he was adopted within just a couple days, and he's found his forever home. But I think if you look closely, there's another thing about Jack, and if I can get back to the face. You have to look closely at him to realize it, but he suffered from some major genetic defects. So if you look closely, you'll see that his left eye was about half the size of his right eye, a condition called microophthalmia. And what you can't see from the photograph is he was also partially blind and partially deaf. And this is the result of the irresponsible breeding that mixes, in his case, it's called a white merle gene, and it is absolutely irresponsible to breed it. In some cases, puppies come out with no paws and, horrendous defects. So I guess to a certain extent, he lost the, genetics game here, but he didn't fare too badly. But I say that because we're not just trying to look at the conditions, it's also the breeding conditions, and to raise public awareness of what goes into creating that, beautiful white dog with blue eyes that you might want, but that also entices breeders to do this kind of thing. But again, and on a positive note, Jack, was rescued. He's adopted. He's in his forever home. And tonight you have a chance to take one step that will help cut down on the ability of puppy mills to market their puppies. And with that, I'll stop talking. I'll let you look at the cute dog pictures. I'll stop showing more. And I'll turn it over to a few more people we have who wish to speak. So thank you.
Okay, please state your name and address for the record, and then go ahead.
Yep. My name is Kristen Schubert. I live at 10431 West Wisconsin Avenue in Wauwatosa. I'd like to first thank Alderperson Welch for her support when I approached her regarding this ordinance, and to the committee for your time. I'm here to ask you to pass an ordinance that would prohibit a pet store in Wauwatosa from profiting off the sale of dogs or cats. As you may have seen in local news, Whitewater, Fort Atkinson, Beloit, and Appleton have all passed similar preemptive ordinances. Based on my own experiences, I believe this ordinance is a humane move that would protect the health and economic well-being of Wauwatosa. I passed out a sheet on my dog, Lamb Chop. In 2014, I adopted her. She came from a puppy mill in Clark County, Wisconsin. Shortly after adopting her, I was doing research on puppy mills, and I came across an organization called Bailing Out Benji. And I've been a volunteer with them for over the past few years. Bailing Out Benji is a nonprofit dedicated to education and raising awareness of puppy mills and their connection to pet stores. They do this by collecting thousands of certificates of veterinary inspection, also called CVIs. These records are obtained directly from the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture. Since commercially bred puppies are regulated, they cannot be transported across Wisconsin state lines without a CVI. This CVI provides documentation on where puppies are coming from and where they are going. Our research shows that Wisconsin pet stores are obtaining puppies from 8 different states besides Wisconsin, 2 of which are home to some of the worst puppy mills in the nation, Missouri and Iowa. As you may know, a puppy mill is a commercial dog breeding facility where the breeder puts profit over the welfare of parent dogs. In puppy mills, dogs live in small cages with wire-bottom flooring and are bred repeatedly. These dogs rarely, if ever, receive vet care or the proper nutrition you or I would provide our dogs. In 2020 alone, Wisconsin pet stores imported almost 2,000 puppies from out-of-state puppy mills, many of whom house hundreds of adult breeding dogs and have violations. One of the Wisconsin Petland locations purchased hundreds of puppies from an Indiana broker who is at the root of the Campylobacter outbreak. So not only will implementing this ordinance stop the puppy mill to pet store pipeline, but it will also protect Wauwatosa consumers. Besides sourcing dogs from inhumane mills, pet stores often offer financing for their puppies. I was recently in a store this weekend looking at a Cavapoo. The puppy had a price of $4,900. I was legitimately shocked. The pet store owner saw my eyes widen, and he grabbed me information on financing or even applying for an in-store credit card. I soon came to realize that pet stores are charging in upwards of 188% on these loans, leases, and credit cards. The puppy could potentially cost me a total of $22,000 with a monthly payment of over $600. Consumers generally aren't aware of the conditions that the puppy or kitten was born in. Because dogs at puppy mills do not receive ideal levels of socialization or veterinary care, unsuspecting consumers often obtain puppy mill puppies and then face an array of veterinary or behavioral problems on top of that initial sticker price. These problems can be a financial and emotional burden for the dog's family. I have personal experience with this hardship when I adopted my dog Lamb Chop. When she was rescued, all of her teeth had to be removed. She had extensive ear surgery due to polyps forming from untreated ear infections. She had mammary tumors removed and suffered a skin condition. She had little to no veterinary care in almost 7 years of living in a puppy mill. Since her adoption, I've battled behavioral issues, and unfortunately, she needed further surgeries, including stereotactic radiation, to treat reoccurring tumors on her body. I asked my vet if these tumors were something common with her breed and was informed it was not common and due to genetic issues. So I can't imagine the financial hardships that the owners of her puppies are facing if these problems are passed on to her. Passing this ordinance in Wauwatosa will not only send a message that our community doesn't support this cruel industry, but it will also protect its residents from predatory lending and the financial and emotional hardships that come with purchasing this pet store puppy. So I'd like to say thank you for taking the time to consider this, and let me know if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Is anyone else part of your presentation this evening? If you want to state your name and address for the record, then go ahead.
Yes. My name is Charlotte Resdell. I live at 10426 West Michigan Street in Wauwatosa. I'm here to show my support for the proposed Humane Pet Store Ordinance. To save time, I do agree with everything that's been said. Kristen, I personally know she's done a tremendous amount of work on this. I did submit a letter. I just have 3 points I'd like to address at this time. In support of the ordinance, the puppies that are sold in these pet stores are sourced from a commercial dog breeding operations, which do not provide the standards, as we have heard, or from the care of a reputable breeder that would be provided. The pet stores that sell these puppies have been in the news, have been linked to outbreaks of disease. In the pet stores, as we have heard from Kristen, personal experience, the finance and lease to get the puppies with the high interest rates. I love living in Wauwatosa. I want to keep these issues out of our community. Please pass this ordinance, protect the residents and the pets in Wauwatosa. I thank you for your time.
Hi,
Hello.
my name is Tony Worthington, and I forgot my glasses, so I'll keep it brief. I live on 841 North 74th Street in Wauwatosa. I'm also here to show my support for the Humane Pet Store Ordinance. I'll also keep it brief. I agree with everything that was said by Kristen and other parties. And there's a few points I want to make. Number one, this will not affect any existing pet stores in Wauwatosa. And number two, this is really a key issue for a lot of passionate people in the community, including myself, and we want to end puppy mills, period. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else part of your group that would like to speak to this item? I was just asking here in the. Okay. Tamika, do we have any people in the public on Zoom that would like to speak to this that you could?
I do see a Megan Nicholson. You should be able to talk. Just unmute yourself and state your name and address for the record.
Yeah, I've got I can unmute them when they come up, so.
Okay. Yep, Megan Nicholson.
Yes. You can unmute yourself now, Megan. There you go.
Can you hear me all?
Now you're.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, it kept muting me back. Thanks for getting me on here. My name is Megan Nicholson. I'm a lifelong Wisconsinite. I'm also the Wisconsin State Director for the Humane Society of the United States, and I currently do reside in Madison. But being the State Director for the Humane Society of the United States, I wanted to join to show our support of this ordinance. To date, 418 municipalities across the nation have passed an ordinance similar to the one that you're considering today. And this is really thanks to citizens and the council members that they voted in to represent them, to taking a stand against these stores that have a business model structured to push sick and inhumanely bred puppies in that community. The ordinance, has been mentioned before, is a proactive measure to protect the community, and it'll help generate awareness about the puppy mill to pet store supply chain. These pet stores that sell puppies, they often rely on consumers to make an impulse buy. They prey off of emotions, and they'll try every which way, including financing, as Kristen mentioned, to have that consumer leave the store puppy in hand. I've experienced this myself in a Wisconsin pet store. Within, I believe I was in the store for about 15 minutes. I had a pug puppy who had a hernia, so it had stitches, shouldn't have been brought out of its kennel, placed in my arms, and I was told that was the perfect dog for me. When I showed no interest and tried to leave the store, before I got to the door, a St. Bernard puppy was put in front of me, and they tried to convince me that this adorable, fluffy puppy was the best one for me. And if you know a pug and a St. Bernard, they're quite different. So I won't go further into that, because I believe everything that's been said is what we would say as well. And we did submit a letter in support, along with Wisconsin Humane Society and Bailing Out Benji. And we do appreciate you taking the time and the effort to join this robust movement. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have. And as mentioned in that letter, you know, recently Illinois passed a state law that is prohibiting the sale of these puppies in their pet stores, and we've seen and heard of stores wanting to move into Wisconsin. So being proactive on this is just, I'm just really happy that you all have been willing to take a listen to this and consider protecting your citizens with this type of ordinance. So thank you so much.
Can you state your address for the record, please?
Oh, you bet. It's 806 West Shore Drive, and that's in Madison.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet.
And there's Peggy Race is online.
Good evening. Hello?
We hear you.
Go ahead.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. So good evening. My name is Peggy Race. First of all, I'd like to thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. Besides being a lifelong Wisconsin resident, I have been the Wisconsin State Lead with Bailing Out Benji for the past 5 years. As Kristen mentioned, Bailing Out Benji, we're a nonprofit organization which educates about puppy mills and their connection to pet stores. So I'm here this evening to voice my support regarding the proposed pet store ordinance. Through my own adopted dog and those I have fostered, I have witnessed the health and behavioral issues which are common to dogs born in puppy mills and which others have spoken about. So not to be repetitive, I'll kind of give an example of my own experience in a pet store, because this ordinance is just as much of a consumer protection issue as it is an animal welfare issue. So one slogan used by Bailing Out Benji is "Don't buy the lies." And while it's one thing to speak and share that slogan, it is quite another thing to experience it. And back in 2019, I visited a Wisconsin pet store, and I gathered information about a lethargic-looking puppy my friend was holding. The store clerk happily provided the name of the breeder, the kennel, and the city and state of where the puppy was born. And the clerk assured me that she had actually visited the facility where the puppy came from, and she painted a picture of luscious green play yards and spacious kennels that were clean and environmentally controlled. And I'm sure the clerk, along with each one of us, would want to believe that that $3,200 puppy was born and raised in stellar conditions. But what that clerk didn't know is that I had actually traveled to Iowa 2 weeks prior and driven past that property that she spoke of. In fact, Bailing Out Benji's data showed that there were more dogs living on that property than the number of residents in that rural Iowa community. And after connecting the dots from the information the clerk provided to the images I had stored on my phone, I understood the meaning of "Don't buy the lies." And ironically, I knew the parents of that pet store puppy were living in anything but stellar conditions. Because the truth be told, I doubt a dilapidated barn with a chicken coop style wire cages is an image the consumer would choose to support. And unfortunately, this is, a small example of the deceptive practices that fit with the pet store model. Secondly, while I was in that pet store, I spoke with a manager about a zoonotic disease called Campylobacter that the CDC traced back to dogs sold in pet stores. Between 2016 and 2018, there were nearly 113 cases confirmed, and 8 of those cases were in Wisconsin. The manager's refusal to acknowledge the validity of the CDC investigation led me to believe that the profitability of his store was more important than the health and well-being of the consumers he served. And so although Wauwatosa currently has no pet stores that sell dogs and cats from commercial breeding facilities, this ordinance would prevent stores with an inhumane business model from moving into the city. Many pet stores are not only selling puppies from documented puppy mills, but they use predatory lending practices with high rates to sell very expensive puppies. And I don't believe deception, disease, and predatory practices are what the city of Wauwatosa is about. And therefore, I urge you to be part of the change and join the growing number of communities who have passed the Humane Pet Store Ordinance. Thank you.
Can you state your address for the record, please?
280 North Esterly Avenue, Whitewater.
Thank you. I don't see anybody else on the participant attendee side here on Zoom, so.
If you do want to speak, you can raise your hand.
Is there no additional? Okay. All right, with that, we have public comment and presentation, and we'll take it back to the committee now for discussion. Any alders have any questions or comments? Gotta learn new names here. Alder McClure.
Yeah. Thank you. First, I want to say thank you to Alder Welch for bringing this forth. I think it was an excellent presentation. Things like this definitely are of concern, and I thank you for bringing it to the council's attention. Even though there are no stores currently in Tosa that do sell puppy mill puppies, this is a way of protecting our city and making sure this does not happen in the future. So I thank you and everyone that spoke on this matter. I plan to support it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any comments?
I agree. I will support this as well. I think that was excellent presentation, and these are stores that I definitely don't want in Wauwatosa.
Is that a motion?
I move approval
There
for
you
the
go.
ordinance this evening.
I'll second. Yes.
Can you repeat that, Alder Wilkie, for me? Motion to move is Alderman Lowe, and second is Alderwoman O'Reilly?
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Thank you. Any comments from anyone else? Oh, Alderman Morgan, go ahead.
Just a quick question. Again, I fully support it. Great, all makes sense. I guess my one quick question would be, I would assume or figure a lot of this could still happen online and there's just nothing you can do about that, but we're just kind of banning retail stores and there's nothing you can do about what happens on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know how we would be able to regulate that, but we keep working on it.
I just had a question. Maybe it's for Attorney Kessner.
Yes.
Do we have any current state laws or federal laws or anything local that would cover this already that this is enforcing or complementing?
Not of this type, which specifically prohibits the sale in commercial pet stores. There's not a state law that would do that at this point in time. I think, as was previously mentioned, Illinois has passed such a state law, but not Wisconsin.
Okay. Yeah, and just I did call around, and there was several stores in the area that their store chain by nature does not sell puppy milk or sell puppies or kittens. They just do the adoption opportunities every now and then. So it doesn't seem like there's currently any problem going on, but this could be a example for other communities and for the state possibly to get on board and pass a law like Illinois did, I guess. So with that, I'd be in favor, I guess.
I will note before you vote, just for those of you who are new, the process, this is an ordinance, and ordinances have to come twice go through 2 cycles. So this will go to council. If you vote in favor of it today, it'll go to council next week for introduction. There actually be there's no discussion at the council meeting. And then the following week, it'll come back to a committee for further discussion, whether sometimes we'll have additional further discussion if there are people interested in new information. Sometimes we'll say, oh, we've already talked about it, and we'll just move it forward again. But you have that opportunity to discuss it 2 weeks from now if there's additional things to top. Then it will go to the council meeting after that for final passage. So when it's a formal ordinance, it'll take 2 rounds of committee and council meetings before it passes.
Okay, so I guess we'll take a vote right now. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Chair votes aye, so that passes unanimously tonight. And again, like we said, it will come back next cycle before it becomes final at council. Thank you, everyone who came out and advocated this evening. And that being our only item tonight, we are adjourned. Thank you.
We have one ordinance for introduction.
Ordinance creating Chapter 9.06 of the Wauwatosa Municipal Code to prohibit the commercial sale of dogs and cats, or cats. This is to be referred to the Community Affairs Committee.
All right, and we have one item plus bills and claims.
Next item we have just a returning item for the ordinance Chapter 9.06 of the Municipal Code to prohibit the commercial sale of dogs and cats. That seems pretty general. This is something we spoke last session about, trying to reduce the sale or the permitting of any kind of puppy or kitten mills. So I think it's back again for discussion as our, for the new people. Ordinances like this that are going to change something go 2 cycles. So you have another, if you hear something new or you want to talk about it again, we have another chance now before it goes to the council for full adoption next week. So does anyone have anything they want to contribute to this discussion tonight? Alder Will?
I was going to move to send this to the council for full adoption.
Okay. Do we usually have to move it tonight again? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. And do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by McLuth.
There are a couple of people online. I don't know if you want to ask if they have any comment.
Okay. Yeah, I guess if there's any, we already took discussion on it, so I feel like we've already heard the story and the case for it and the support. And it has the support of this committee, and it will be going to the full council, so they could email the full council with their comments. So I guess at this point, I would just proceed forward with a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any no? Any opposed? Okay, chair votes aye. That passes unanimously to the full council for adoption next week. So thank you for those that contributed to that. We had a good discussion last time. If you have any new things to add, you could add it. You could email us. Is there anything else this evening?
We have one item from the Community Affairs Committee.
The ordinance creating Chapter 9.06 of the Wauwatosa Municipal Code to prohibit the commercial sale of dogs or cats. This is ready for adoption tonight, and the committee recommended adoption 7-0.
Thank you. Alderman Wilkie?
I'd like to move approval.
Thank you. Is there a second? Alderwoman Welch, seconds. Is there any discussion? Alderman Mindel.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have brief remarks on this. Any glimpse into the life of an animal quickens our own and makes it so much larger and better in every way. That was spoken by John Muir, Scottish-American naturalist. I want to congratulate the Community Affairs Committee and Alder Welch for putting this ordinance before us today. As a parent of 2 dogs we adopted, this proposal is very important to me. The 2019/2020 National Pet Owner Survey discovered about 85 million American families own some kind of pet. Due to high demand, the pet industry has become an enormous market. In 2021, the market was estimated to be worth $232 billion, growing 6% annually. Unfortunately, individuals take advantage of this market and sacrifice animals' safe and ethical breeding to continue earning profit. I'm glad we are taking a step forward to stop putting profit before animals in pet stores. Please adopt if you can, or get a new furry scaled or feathered from a reputable breeder. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Just want to note that John Muir is an alumnus of the University of Wisconsin. Not just a Scottish man. Alderwoman first.
Thank you. So I find this also very dear because animal cruelty is just horrendous. I found it very interesting, the article or statement that was emailed to us today. So if you didn't have a chance to read it, by Joshua James and the Pet Advocacy Network, I thought I would just summarize a few points that they made because I was completely unaware of them. They were talking about the ordinances that dictate these are very unsuccessful at the community level and much more effective at the state and national level, and that support going towards those efforts is going to be more effective than what we could do at the local level, partly being because what happens, according to their evidence of what's happened in California and other states, is that when we shut down local pet stores that are selling these pets, it's actually driving people to the black market, which I didn't realize. So I thought that was pretty important to share. And there's just, I think that's the last thing we would want to be in support of, is anything that would continue cruelty of animals. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Alderwoman Welch.
I think it's important to point out here that this ordinance, of course, is not the final answer. It would be great if the state of Wisconsin would pass a statewide ordinance, and I think advocates will continue to push for that. What we have before us is what we have under our control within our jurisdiction, and I think we should take action on it. I like to note that there are increasing numbers of cities. I look every day. Lately, the city of Dallas passed a humane pet ordinance. They're adopting these all over the country, and I think we would be remiss if we didn't do what we could to support the efforts at the U.S. Humane Society, the Wisconsin Humane Society, and organizations like Bailing Like Out Benji, who have gone to such extremes to help rescue the puppies from these puppy breeders. This is the one thing we can do, and I think we should do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Alderman Morgan first.
Thanks for all these comments and the input in the proposal, especially from Alder Welsh and those who have supported it. I really appreciate the sentiment and the effort. But as Alder first raised, and I was unaware of the other options, and from the letter from the Pet Retailers Advocacy Group, it does seem that some of these issues could be handled by other authorities or other levels of government. So as somebody, as a family that's adopted two dogs over the last, wonderful dogs over the last 20 years, I'm not going to support it on the floor based on that letter and kind of to give a voice to the other side of the issue. Again, while I totally respect both sides and kind of expect it'll pass, I'm going to vote against it simply for that reason. Thank you.
Alder first.
Yeah, I actually had the opportunity to call up the Pet Advocacy Network today and ask them some questions after they messaged us. And so to Alderwoman Welch's statement, he actually mentioned that a state like Illinois, which is nearby, became a complete state banning the sale of pets. And what's happened is their black market is exploding. And so as Wisconsin being so nearby, especially southern Milwaukee, we're actually a place that people can go to buy properly bred and legally sold high quality pets that aren't now not being legislated. So his concern is actually that us in Wisconsin, it's going to create a larger network where we're creating a lot of loopholes for this black market sale going on, which I just wanted to share. And then the other point that was in the letter that if you didn't have a chance to read it was that I love adopted pets too. We have them in our family as well. And there's families though that can't due to allergies and other things. And so this is creating a very hard difficulty for them to find those pets in the area. And so he actually showed me that there's legislation that they've been supporting in Wisconsin to have a stronger enforcement of the strict rules that are already in place. And so I would love to see how we could support in those efforts.
Alderman McLoof.
I think there's been an excellent presentation regarding the humane pet ordinances. And I think that as a city, we're looking to protect ourselves from these organizations. And the more and more municipalities that we can get on board with this, the more likely that we can bring this to the state level and have something passed the state level. And hopefully, enough states, we can get it passed to the federal level. I'm definitely going to be supporting this ordinance tonight, as I think it is the right thing to do. We've got a number of adopted pets in our family, and I don't see the need that a pet store that's selling them when there's so many various options for adoption.
Thank you. Anyone else? Alderman Phillips.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll speak as a family who loves animals as well, and also had allergy issues and had to work with finding a dog that would meet with our family's needs. And we went to the length of finding a reputable breeder who came highly regarded by the Golden Doodle Association. And I'm supporting this ordinance because it is, to Alder Welch's point, something that we could do at a local level to make sure that we are treating these animals humanely. It is this sort of effort is supported by the Humane Society, and I think we should adopt it.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. At this time,
I just wanted to say I agree with Alder Phillips on what you just said, that in terms of what impact this will have on our existing business community, I believe that I read from your information that we don't have any pet stores that are currently selling pets like this, that whose existing business would be affected. And I think it's important for us to make a statement about how we want pets to be treated. And as I understand it, the ordinance doesn't affect breeders. It is freestanding pet stores. And is that correct? Or okay, so I think that's an important distinction to make. And my family has also used, not my twin has also used these established breeders, and I think there are pet rescues that are very specific to specific kinds of pets. And yeah, I just kind of don't really buy the argument in the letter that it's creating a barrier. Specifically for Wauwatosa, it might be in other places. So that's it.
yes. Alderman Dubinsky.
Thank you. I'm a dog person, so I'm going to support this. I'll even support it for cats. Thank you. Oh, one more thing. Seriously, though. We should be working with people at the state level and going after the puppy mills, making penalties severe and enforcing those penalties. I can't say enough nasty stuff about puppy mills. They're awful. Or feral cats, where people just have a pet and decide not to have it spayed or neutered and just let it take off in the city, where it's not going to thrive very well. So that's all I have. Thanks.
All right. Anyone else? Alderman Wilkie.
Yeah, I didn't know if we had a reason to really do this ordinance locally, because I guess it is more effective at the state level. But when it's called around to the local stores, none of them has a policy with their chain sell cats or dogs. They have adoption days, and they bring them in that way. And then even called the Milwaukee area and couldn't find anyone that actually sells cats and dogs. They only do these adoption things by policy. So it's not like I don't know that we're restricting them from selling cats or dogs when they don't even really want to. These major retailers, they've done away with it for these reasons. But so I didn't know if I guess the only reason I was really going to support this was then so that it could bring awareness that maybe at the state level they take more action. Yeah. I mean, I respect your comments on this letter because I don't want to trigger some sort of other black market or whatever of inhumane. But I guess I'm kind of torn on this, but I guess I'll stick with supporting it tonight just because I don't see that the chains or the stores locally even were going to sell cats or dogs. So, but maybe we could be advocating. So I guess I'll stick with it.
All right. Anyone else? All right. At this time, I'll ask for a roll call vote.
Alderperson Dubinsky.
Aye.
Franzen.
Aye.
First.
Nay.
Lewis.
Aye.
Lowe.
Aye.
McCloof.
Aye.
Heindel.
Aye.
Moldenauer.
Aye.
Morgan.
No.
O'Reilly.
Aye.
Phillips.
Aye.
Tillison.
Aye.
Welch.
Aye.
Wilkie.
Aye.
Arnie.
Aye.
And Dolan.
Aye.
It's 14 to 2.
Yes, that motion passes on a 14 to 2 vote.